give access. He wanted to change travel for the masses. That was their vision. They wanted to change how they wanted to make the entire world accessible to you and you and you and you and you. That was their vision. That's who they were. That's why they did. That's why they spent so much time creating and investing their energy and talents into creating Man-Fly, because that was what they wanted. They had a purpose that was for the greater good of mankind. Robert Langley wanted to be famous, and he wanted to be rich. And so, as he said, he did. He had all the financial support he needed. He had the press followed him around and monitored every step of progress that he made. The Wright brothers had none of that. They had none of the monetary support. The press didn't even know about them. The press didn't follow them. And I believe in that story they said when the Wright brothers went out to test their various contraptions, they would take 5 sets of extra parts with them, because that's how many times they expected to crash and have to rebuild the plane before trying again. But the point of this is to say, Robert Langley had everything that you and I previously believed we needed to be someone who makes an impact. And when the Wright brothers discovered and actually invented Man-Fly first, he quit. Didn't get famous, didn't get rich, so he quit. So this whole thing, the Wright brothers wanted to be a force, again, that made the world accessible. And so they did. They went out and they crashed over and over and over and over again, and they brought extra parts. They went out and tried again. Nobody was watching. Nobody followed them. Nobody wrote papers about them. But by doing all of that, their names went down in history books. They are now revered and remembered, and because of them, any one of us can fly.
Do you want to go over the video?
We can. We can fly because these men had a vision, and it wasn't a self-serving vision. They wanted to make an impact on other people. And so the way we had this design in our minds is completely backwards. We had to be first. We have to be a person that is willing to do whatever it takes, a person who's willing to hold ourselves to a standard that nobody else would ever expect of us. We have to be people who are willing to forgive even when we don't believe they deserve it. We have to be people who are willing to help even when no one's helping us. And if we be that kind of person, if we be a team player, if we be a visionary, if we be a leader, if we be just a cause for good in our practice in the world, we will do whatever is required. We will be creative. We will do all of the things that will allow us to have the life that we want, the experience that we want, the legacy that we want. But it starts with how we be. The stuff we accumulate will not allow you to be happy. It just won't. And there are many people in here who can attest to it. So, in your practices, I know in your practices, and actually let's do this. So in your practices, we take this be, do, have conversation, and we kind of categorize it into the content of the stuff that we do and the context in which we do it. Does this make sense so far? So the content of what we do and the context of how we do it. The context is who you become or who you be in the process of doing all the stuff. The content is all the stuff that you do. Is it possible that you can call a patient to confirm their appointment one way and they tell you, yes, I'm coming, and then they don't show up. And we may say, well, it's an irresponsible patient, right? It's an irresponsible patient. They didn't care. What if I told you that the vocabulary and the language pattern we use during that call will have an impact on whether or not they show up? See, everyone how many in here, how many of you make confirmation calls for your schedule? Yeah, we got the hand motions again, right? You guys don't do confirmation calls?
We do, we're just not supposed to do it.
But the team does it. Okay, so that's a hand.
There you go.
That's a hand, okay, there you go, that's right, babies. We did this together, right? Okay. So, everyone in here makes confirmation calls. What else, and as we think about this conversation, what do you think separates those offices that are fun to be in, they're an exciting place to work, they're rewarding both financially and emotionally? What's the difference in those practices that seem to continue to grow and never stagnate, never decline? They just continue getting better and better and better in the sense of the team's fulfillment in the practice, the level of their job satisfaction, and ultimately what they're able to earn. What's the difference? Do you think the difference, how many of you believe the difference is they have systems and strategies and ways to do things? How many of you believe that's true?
I think that's part of it. Part of it, not all of it.
I think that's part of it. And here's what I would say. Without a rock-solid context, even the right systems won't work. Because people will only do them when it's convenient. People will only do them when it's easy. The context is really the culture in which you do things, the place from which you do things, and the intention behind those actions. That's really what context is. It's culture, it's being, it's who I am. Not who I am because so-and-so said this, therefore I'm going to talk about them because they talked about me. Context is who you are and how you uphold that even when nobody else does. Does this make sense? So, some of the things we do in practice, tell me some of the things you guys do day to day. That every other dental practice in here does also. What are some of the things you guys do? We already said we make confirmation calls, right? What else do you do? I see my patients. So we treat patients. What else do we do?
You stock rooms, set up.
We stock rooms. We turn rooms over. So stock and flip rooms. Okay? What else do you do? That every other dental practice does, every practice you've ever worked in, every other office in the room. What else do you do day to day? We take patient payments. Yeah.
Gleefully.
Do what?
Gleefully.
Legally. We take payments. You file insurance. Who files insurance? We file insurance. We manage insurance. We manage receivables. What else do you do? Do you answer the telephone? Reluctantly?
Sterilization.
Yeah. We do sterilization.
Dr. B.
We talked to our patients.
Who was that?
Yeah, we communicate with our patients.
I mean, not Amy, Misty. Was Misty sterilization?
Anything else? Yeah, we take x-rays, we clean teeth, we treatment
Leanne
plan,
was
we
X-rays.
document, we do all of
Leanne,
that
she was
stuff, right?
X-rays.
So, is there any dental practice in here that doesn't do this stuff? You guys do it? Does your team do it? You guys do it? Do you do it? Do you guys back here do it? Do you do all of this stuff? Okay. So then, if we all do the same stuff, then why do some see ongoing and progressive success and others don't? Why is that? Because they're constantly changing and making it better. They're not just, it's kind of like, I don't expect my kid to stay in second grade for 10 years. True. You expect them to graduate from second grade to third grade to fourth grade to fifth grade. Isn't it funny how life was designed that way? We're not expected to stay on the same plane forever. We are designed for growth. And when we don't grow, sometimes God shows up, and when He does, He usually provides us a growth opportunity in a way that we would prefer He didn't. How many of you have ever found that to be true? Two hands. And so the truth is we're designed for growth. And the opposite of growth isn't stagnation. The opposite of growth is decline. Because you can't just stay on a level plane forever because the world is changing so rapidly around us. If you stay on the same plane forever, you end up a dinosaur. You face extinction. That's just what happens. It's how it was designed. Kind of like the rotary phones. The rotary phones don't exist anymore because our culture passed it. Now, if you have a rotary phone, it's like in an antique store.
My mother-in-law actually has one, and she still travels on.
So here's what's interesting. If she does, then she must live in one of the few remaining towns that still has an analog system. Because the rotary phones only work with analog. They don't work with digital. So she's probably like Lynchburg or Tullahoma. You can still get, which is where I'm from, you can still get analog service in smaller towns that haven't crossed over into that realm. But the truth is, we can't just stay the same forever. We can't say, well, now that I'm here, now I can have everything that I want. Things change too quickly. Things move too rapidly. If you don't grow, you rot.
Mm-hmm.
It's how it's designed. Like an apple on a tree, once it's ripe, if it's not plucked and eaten, it rots.
Mm-hmm.
It rots. So we can see metaphors for life in nature and animals all around us if we're looking for them. Seek and you shall find, right? So you start looking and you start finding all of these examples of how this is true and how it is proven. In all of these different things that have been created in the real world, in our reality. But the bottom line is, all of us do this stuff. All of us do the same stuff. But what separates the winners from the whiners is really the context or the culture in which we do it. And this is another way of saying, how are we being while doing all of that stuff? How are we being? Are we being hurried to get through a to-do list? Are we being hurried to complete the confirmation calls? Are we being pulled in 10,000 different directions and focusing on the demands on our time? Are we being, when we make the confirmation calls, are we being connected to the patient? Or are we just saying, yes, you've got an appointment tomorrow at 10 o'clock, please call our office back to confirm? It's not what we do, it's how we be when we do it. And so what does that look like? What does that look like? Well, here's what it looks like. If this glass, this is a metaphor we like to use a lot, so if that glass represented the culture or the context of your practice, and the water represents all the stuff that we do, okay? What do you think would happen if I took a little drill bit and I started drilling holes in this glass? What do you think happens to those water molecules? It begins to leak out, doesn't it? It begins to leak out. Even if you have phenomenal systems here, if the context is cracked, all the systems and the strategies won't stay in place, not long term. And so how many of you would like to have a culture in your practice, a context in your practice, that is so rock solid that you can continually be learning advanced ways of doing things, new technology, new strategies, and keep it firmly in place and protected? How many of you would like to have a